everyone. This is the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we're going to be discussing our show Insecure. This is a show that we haven't had a chance to review thus far. And, since Power is on hiatus this week showing their marathon, I figured we could jump into Insecure and talk about all of the drama that goes on with that show, because that show opens a whole nother can of worms that Power doesn't even deal with.
We're going to do a little freestyle today, too. So, as we talk about Insecure, there are a lot of insecurities that we're going to bring up in relationships as well.
Right, so just stick tight and we'll be right back with you.
Busy and where the last one burned you, know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him, swear that's the truth, so you can't trust.
Alright, we're back, and like I said, we're talking about Insecure. This is now the second season of Insecure, and we've been following it all along, but like I said, we just haven't had the opportunity to review it because of various other obligations and the fact that it airs so late on Sunday night. So it's just good to come back and recap this show because it's one of my favorites.
Yes.
And it's sexy good. I mean, I hate to bring out the sex aspect of it, but I am a man, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, but it has a lot of parts in it that I think kind of resonates with us all when it comes to relationships, whether you're married or not. So we're going to get into it and join us, in your comments and so forth.
And I like the show, too, because it's good to see, like, these black women and black men on TV in significant roles and relatable roles, too, like Issa, and educated young brothers and sisters, too.
And underrepresented roles.
Yes.
But I got my way with Kelly. Now, yes, she's an educated woman, but why is she drinking 24/7? She's got a drink in her hand.
She's not drinking 24/7.
No, she's a lush. She's a lush, Tiffany.
She's not a lush. They turn up a little bit when they have girl time and stuff. Like, even if you watch Insecure, at the end, Issa always does a wind down. That's something that she does in the second season. If you watch Insecure on Demand, she has a guest sit in on the couch and they have wine and they drink and they discuss the episode and everything. So, I don't think she's a lush.
Right.
She's just getting a little taste when they hanging out. That's all.
And
But is it real? She runs after men. She see what she wants. She go for it. Is that real?
Yeah,
is that real?
Some women are really forward like that.
Yeah, and if it's not you, then you definitely have a friend or a family member
that's
like that.
Right.
So that's a very relatable role.
Right.
I ain't never seen it, but I guess it does exist. But and aside from her, Issa.
Issa, she's a
I only think. I mean, look, your raps are on point. I love her.
Yeah, I like
freestyle.
that. I like her freestyle.
And Issa really, her background, she had the YouTube series with the Awkward Girl, and that's what I'm talking about with underrepresented roles, because there are a lot of awkward girls, but so many times on TV you see them as white women. And so this is talking about the awkward girl from the black perspective. And Issa always talked about how, when you're with your black friends, you might not fit in. You might be too white for them. And then when you go around your white friends, it's like you're too awkward. You don't really fit in well with them, and you're not black enough.
Right.
So it's always like, where do I fit in? And I think that's what Issa is representing here, because so many women of color feel that way, but there was no space that really reflected that on TV.
Well, and it's just like Molly, too, because Molly is always trying to fit in at work. As you notice in episode 4 and 5, she got a chance to see one of the colleagues, a white guy, saw his check, and, she's tripping over that because he makes more money than she does, and she feels that she's equal to him.
She does. She does more work than him. Like, it's clear.
Oh, I agree with that.
That he's a loafer.
I do agree with that. But in episode 5, Molly, did you have to go to the hockey game and try to pull that stunt? People know, Molly, when you know the game and when you don't. I know it's a game and you're trying to play the game. But maybe stay in your lane and try another way at it, because that's not the way.
Well, I applaud her efforts for even trying, first off, because, as someone said before, like, maybe her love life may have been a wreck, but she was holding it down at work. And this is the first time that she's ever felt like, wow, now even my work life is being a little suspect.
Yep.
Her love life is what she makes it. She
she sabotages herself
every single time.
She sabotages herself.
She's like a dude. I mean, a dude would just hit it and quit it, and that's what she does.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that is because I'm sorry, cut you off. A lot of that too is that she is a perfectionist. She's going by this list of what they're supposed to have and the expectations. Like, for instance, I'm now referring to season 1, just about how she was on the date with the guy. She was doing way too much. Like, she went on a date and she was like, "Oh, you didn't text me when you got in. I need to let me know that you got home okay and stuff like that." And I know that some of us do that and everything, but he just was like, "Okay." Yeah. After that, it seemed like he tuned out.
And
of
don't
that
get me wrong, ladies.
Real quick,
I do think that when you go on that first date, second date, third date, however many dates they are, when you do separate and you're going home, I do want to hear from you. Because I want to make sure you made it home okay. Yeah. However, if you haven't heard from me, it really doesn't mean that I put you in the closet or on the shelf and I'm ready to say move on. Right. It just simply says anything could have happened as to why I didn't contact you. But sometimes you women will take... You know what y'all do.
Women.
Because y'all take that thing seriously, and then it becomes a fight.
It does,
and it's not necessary to fight over that. Because Molly will bring that out on the point. She'll, she doesn't like something, and it's on, because she's got that mouth.
I think with Molly, a lot of her ideals, as we seen in this previous episode for season 2, I think it was episode 5, a lot of her ideals about relationships are based on her parents. And so when she sees them, she sees this picture-perfect couple that she aspires to attain. And so with her, it's all about trying to achieve this same love that my parents have. And that's why she keeps writing all these dudes off.
And it's unrealistic because you see that her parents, the husband cheated, and they worked through it. And they're still together. And they were having a marriage renewal. And that just... That's deflated her whole view. Exactly. And then it caused her to make a decision that I thought was destructive with her sleeping with the friend who's married, the open marriage and stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Molly, you were doing so well, because she was working hard, going to therapy and stuff, and she was working to be a better Molly. Exactly. And I feel like her sleeping with Dro, that just...
It sabotaged all the progress that she had made. And if anything else, it's going to blur the lines even more, because she already has history with this guy, and now you're intertwining your feelings,
Yeah.
It's a bomb waiting to explode, because, the moment he's back with his wife, they get together again.
You're left out hanging.
And it's going to show.
Yeah.
Because she's now, whether she wants to act the part or not, her feelings going to be involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and what do you think about that? Did you think Homeboy was wrong for hey, I mean, they bumping and grinding and dancing.
Yeah, when I saw her dancing, I was like, I know you can tell they homies, they grew up together, they're tight and stuff. And if he was a single man, I would be like, Molly, go for it. Yes. But the fact that he's married and stuff, and she knows the wife, she seemed like she cool with the wife too. So I was just like, Molly, don't do it. Don't do it.
Since you and I are always on point, counterpoint, let me ask you a question about that.
Okay.
You bumping and grinding with a dude that's married, and what do you expect him to think? I mean,
I think it was all. I mean, they were just dancing at that point, though. I don't think.
No. I'm talking about when it got real.
It did get heavy. It did get heavy.
And she was.
Because I was looking at her too, like.
On him, and I'm thinking, so where else do you think this dude is supposed to take this from this point? Because that's what we do.
But I was hoping that because they grew up together and stuff, that he did not look at her in that light. Like, I was hoping that he still looked at her like, this is my homie, this is my sister and stuff. And when he came at her that way, I was like,
thank you.
I felt like, oh, he just another trifling Negro.
So the trifling started when he came up with what we gonna do about this. But at first she was trying
to. At first, she was like, when he first said, "You want some company," she thought about it, and at first she was like, "No, I'm kind of tired. This, that, and the other." So she really did try to resist. Yeah. It wasn't until
what broke that down?
Her parents. When she found out that her little fairy tale.
So she had to go there because
I'm not saying she was right.
She was
we're not saying that she's right. So
but
we're not condoning Molly's behavior. But that's what
got her there.
Yeah, because she was in a vulnerable space, and she was like the friend that she brought to the party, who she's not really feeling.
Right. He didn't even know her well enough to respond to her in that situation.
No.
But Dro, being her lifelong childhood friend, he was able to comfort her and know exactly what she needed in the moment. Which I'm a little upset with him about that, because I feel like as a friend, you should have respected the boundaries. And if you know that it's possible that I could catch feelings for you or something like that, then you're already married. You're a taken man. You're setting me up for failure from the jump.
He's a healthy man, and she's a beautiful black woman. What would you expect?
But he knows her history with men too, because in one of the scenes he was sitting there pointing out like, what about this brother? What about this brother and stuff. So he knows that she has had challenges with relationships. So, he knows the history, and so she's
he's gonna bypass his primal instinct.
You're a married man.
He's a married man. He should have bypassed the primal instinct based on the strength of that.
Respect the friendship.
We also know that opportunity and the right situation can breed anything. We know this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you saw. You saw opportunity and the right timing breeded that relationship to flower where it did.
Their relationship will never be the same after this. You can't go back to just being friends. You can't look at him the same. You can't look at his wife the same.
Right.
You can't even look at yourself the same.
Can you even look at his wife in the eye after that? You know?
Yeah.
No, but not without guilt.
You have a choice?
Not without guilt, because this is.
I mean, you know, the guilt part, and I'm sure with the both of them, ran across their minds before they started it.
Well, I'm wondering.
I'm
sorry. I was gonna say, I'm wondering if he was even telling the truth about the open relationship thing.
Thank you. I was
I'm wondering if he gave her a line just to get. It's cool because you know men lie. Y'all lie sometimes to get the booty. Y'all lie sometimes to get the booty. Y'all lie say you're not married. Y'all lie say the open relationship. Yeah. So I wonder how much of that is really true.
And even if it is true,
I'm
going there because it's true. We're talking real talk. Real talk.
Guys, pay no attention, man.
No, you need to pay attention.
She's going to look at that.
Some of y'all know that some of y'all do that. Look, I've been on the receiving end of that, of folks saying that they weren't married when they were. On the receiving end, some of y'all telling little white lies just to get what you want to get. That's not little white lie though. That's not little white lie though. Saying you're not married when you are married. That's a huge lie. Mm-hmm. And some men do that to get what they want. Mm-hmm.
And half y'all know that he married in the first place.
Well, some women will go with they are down with that. I'm not one of those women, but you know, there are some women that are like, "We married. I want what I want."
And let's say that the open marriage situation, if he was indeed being truthful about that. So many people have different rules as to what constitutes an open marriage. Do you have to ask your wife for permission to sleep with this woman?
Technically, no. Technically, you know, what it's supposed to be in an open marriage is that you're not necessarily going out seeking to sleep with someone, but if it happens, it happens, and you don't bring it home.
Well, I'd like to know how Ron is an authority on this.
Well, I know, but that's why I said so many people. We ain't gonna bring Ron in.
No, I mean, leave me out of this, okay? Because I'm clean.
Ron said my hands are clean.
Because he started explaining. I'm like,
let me think. No, y'all don't need. Let's change subjects for a moment. Yeah. Anyway, because I read. You know. I read up on things. That's how I do it. You know. But I want to be knowledgeable. Okay.
So we need a subject expert. We will defer to Ron.
Even if that was the case, it didn't seem to me as if whatever happens was that situation, because Dro seemed like he was pursuing her.
He did pursue her.
And that's what I'm saying.
He pursued her. He was like, I'm going.
He was scheming.
Yeah. So I really like to know if that open relationship thing was really true.
Exactly. And I'm interested to see what happens from here, because it's going to be...
we will find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, over the head, there were interviews with Yvonne Orji, who plays Molly. And she's done it a year ago. She was on like the Breakfast Club. She did an interview, and then recently, like this week, she was on Baller Alert and Shade Room, and they were talking about her real life persona, like
She's a virgin.
She's a virgin, and yet she plays this very promiscuous character on TV, and nobody could seem to believe it, and they were so surprised about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, okay.
And I'm
No,
like,
she is. She is, and I think I applaud her for that.
Skipping the subject for a minute. When Molly and Issa decided they were going to go to the club, right? Mm-hmm. And Issa, those shoes was not it.
Oh no!
What with the wedges, and she was doing her slow walk.
Slow walk.
But that's the awkward black girl.
That's awkward black.
So
And
many
plus-
times we see this.
And plus, she's been out of the game for real, because she and Lawrence were in a relationship for 5 years.
Okay.
So
you watch
so
TV.
she didn't know.
You watch TV.
But
I
no,
know she on
it's
that.
that's not the same as being out there in the
And
dating
those
world.
wedges,
Yeah.
they were the ugliest pair of shoes. And then too, what she wore when you were trying to capture what?
Yeah. Oh, she was
Flies?
awkward.
Yeah.
Now, look at the guys that she put in her rotation. Like Apartment Bay. I would not even his funny head shapes.
Yeah.
He
The
had a funny
head
shaped
shape
head.
alone got me, and I'm like,
The funny shaped head, and then the sex looked real whack. And then I'm like, plus I was thinking, Issa, you're messing with Apartment Bay, and what if Lawrence gets back together? Like, that's the same apartment
Y'all
complex.
gotta see each other.
You
in
gotta
passing.
see each other.
So,
Like, that could get
explain
back
to
to
me-
him.
explain to me-
I didn't understand Issa's rationale for
Explain
that.
to me the vulnerabilities here with Issa, because I'm gonna tell you right now. She said she wanted, you know what? She wanted it, and she didn't care where she was going to get it from. And I guess what I'm trying to say.
Once she found out, she wanted Lawrence
whole
back.
phase.
She wanted
No,
Lawrence
no.
back, and once Molly told her that Lawrence said that he was done, she was trying to find a way to move on. Just like Lawrence.
And that's
Lawrence
the
is
way-
fronting too.
that's the
Lawrence
way-
is fronting
Both of
too.
them.
They were
Because
both
he's fronting too because Chad told him that he's a nice guy and basically talks about, when he told him he was looking for an apartment, you need 2 rooms, one for you and one for your feelings. And he was like, he said he calls him Bride McKnight. So Lawrence is constantly trying to prove to everyone that he's not this nice guy, like he's not soft and things like that. But he really misses Issa.
Well,
He does.
I
He
started
did
to
a
say
job
he's
by
really
the house.
trying. He's trying to prove to himself that he's through with Issa, and
He's not.
And well, no, he's not. He's still hurt over that, over the fact she was cheating. And then he brings in Tasha, who Tasha is just she's
He's
a hood
playing
rat.
around.
Tasha,
She's a rebound.
Tasha was like the most hated on Twitter too.
Yeah.
Like people like really are mad at Tasha,
Mhm.
and they feel like Tasha was shooting her shot at Lawrence while he was still with Issa.
Being a
So
home wrecker.
she was being
She
so
works
they,
at a bank. She sees a fine brother coming in, and she's taking her shot. What's wrong with that?
right, but he was hooked up.
Yeah.
But did she know that at the
She
time?
knew he was hooked up because she stopped
You know
by
what?
the Best Buy with her titties sitting up here and everything, ba boom, and he was at Best Buy, and she's like, "Oh, I'm thinking we can go get something to eat," and she says, "I have a girlfriend." She said, "Oh, okay."
A girlfriend.
A girlfriend.
But
He was living with Issa.
you
They were together. They hadn't broken up yet. Issa had not cheated yet. That's the thing. Lawrence passed his test. Lawrence was faithful.
Yeah.
And that's what, I was mad at Issa for cheating on Lawrence because I thought Lawrence was a good guy.
The cheating that she did, and the choice she made to sleep with Brother Man from the first floor. I mean, to me, that suggests or denotes the mentality or her social.
No. She just.
I don't see any.
I don't think she's really a cheater though. I think it happened. It was a mistake.
What? Wait a minute.
It was a mistake.
She pinpointed the dude.
That's after the
the
breakup.
fact.
You're mixing the
After
two.
there was
actually,
no
I'm-
reconciliation.
After she found out there was no
Actually,
reconciliation.
I'm not mixing anything. I'm just trying to say it's her mentality. It's the way she thinks. It's the way she comes at a problem. And she comes at a problem with sex first. And then she has to think about what she did later.
Well,
Because
actually,
this is-
she doesn't. That's why she was asking Molly how to hoe because she didn't know. She's awkward.
Wait a
She
minute
didn't.
now.
She didn't know.
Wait a minute.
That situation with Daniel happened because they have a history. They grew up together, and as Molly said to her, that Daniel was always like, "You're a killer." I think a lot of people have folks that
definitely.
their weak spot. The people you
I
gotta
understand.
like stay away from because
I
it
understand.
could be on.
I understand that. I can understand Daniel being a weak spot. Daniel, I can say it because I'm you know, I'm a man. I can say about another man. He's a fine brother, you know.
Yeah, he is. That body is banging. I was like Issa. I'm like, hey.
So yeah, I can understand that being her weak point, but my point is, it seems like every time she's in a struggle mentally, this is what she chooses to do. She chooses to go find anything to sleep. Look, come on, would you sleep with dude?
Hell no.
Why not?
That peanut head.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
No, I mean, no.
But
That's
for-
not for her. This was her way of trying to move on. Just like
You can't
Lawrence.
move on
Lawrence was
sleeping.
doing stuff too that he
Sleeping
typically done.
around.
Like he had a threesome. That's not typically Lawrence's flow
Right.
either.
Oh, let's talk about that. Because Lawrence, you need to strap up if you're gonna roll
Yeah,
like that.
man.
Yeah.
And
Because they look like they were pros at that. You heard them
they
talking
were
about
straight up pros.
talking about men in front of him.
Look, the moment
They
you-
made him feel this small.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. They did. They made him feel. They were like, oh, you.
Okay, but yes, when you go, you gotta understand, Jay. Now listen, come at you straight. You get two hoes that approach. Oh, did I say that? I'm
You
sorry.
said
You
hoes.
said it.
You
Did I
said
say that?
hoes.
Okay. You-
Call it what it is.
Yeah, okay. You get two women approaching you. They bought your wine. They bought whatever else you had, and then they meet you in the parking lot, and then they try to make you feel like that because you're doing the right thing. You're going to a party. Come on, Jay.
No, they made him feel like that because only one of them came,
He
and the
couldn't
other,
get it.
and then he couldn't
No.
get it up in time. That's they were like, oh well, LaMarcus did, but they started talking about other men in front of him, and that's how they humiliated him.
Yeah.
And then after that, we
Yeah,
saw
but
him
then-
doing the drive by
Of course,
to
but-
Issa's house.
But when he says, "Yeah, I'm going to this, that, and other," and they're going, you know.
Well, honestly, with Issa and Lawrence, they're both, like you said, pretending to be something they're not to try to get
Yeah.
over this heartache.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just trying to reconcile. But Lawrence's pride as a man won't let him overcome the fact that she cheated on me. What? Like,
I don't think that's pride. I think he is really hurt. And here we
He's
go
hurt.
again.
He is
Here
hurt,
we go again
yeah,
when we
of
talk
course.
about men and their emotions. As you and I discussed a little earlier, you know, you all got all kind of avenues and developmental organizations when you're having emotional swings, when you're down and out. Men don't have that, and the reason that we don't have it is because we have a society that tells us how to behave, how not to behave, how we should stand up for things, and so we don't have that communications pipeline that you ladies have. You know, we don't have that, so we suffer more deeply, I should say, when these kinds of things happen. We do, and it plays out sometimes in a more awkward manner. But yeah, he's suffering,
Yeah,
and because the world and society believes that women are a man's property, even if he doesn't believe that consciously, subconsciously, it's been driven and drilled into his mind that Issa was his property, and she allowed that property to be taken away from simply because she wanted to have sex with somebody else. And so he has to deal with that from that perspective.
well, let's talk about how they even got there. Let's go back to
Exactly.
season 1.
exactly.
Oh, Lord.
Let's
Go
go
ahead.
back to season 1 because Lawrence and Issa, they're in this relationship. You know, of course they love each other, but they're in a tough spot right now. And Lawrence is, you know, down and out. He's working on his app and he's trying to get things going with that. That's really his dream that he's trying to pursue. And Issa is there trying to support him in the best way she can while he's out of work, feeling very uninspired.
For 2 years.
For 2 years. And she's carrying the load, basically. And, you know, Issa is not in the greatest position herself. She's working this job where she feels like she's not necessarily being fulfilled. And yet she has to come home and deal with this uninspired man that she's trying to support and trying to stick with him through the rough patch. And then comes Daniel, who, I'm not saying this right, but he offers her that emotional support that Lawrence was not willing to provide. Even on her birthday, you know, something so small where you could have done even the slightest gesture, he doesn't even pull through on that. And so it's like thing after thing after thing that keeps compiling and making the situation worse to the point where Issa is so emotionally vulnerable that when Daniel came along, it was like on and popping.
Yeah, I held.
And I'm not suggesting that it's right either.
I held back long enough. Y'all making my hands sweat.
Go
look
ahead,
at-
go
look
ahead.
at- They're sweaty.
Go ahead.
First of all,
Mm-hmm.
you know, brothers And I'm talking about good brothers because I felt that Lawrence was a good brother. Would you say
I think
that?
no. I think
Lawrence
Lawrence is a good brother.
He's trying to be his own boss,
Right?
which one way or the other we all kind of aspire to be. He decides to build apps and hopes that his dreams can be fulfilled. 2 years is a long time, but how many times have you heard stories of businessmen and women that have actually made it, and they took everything they had, and they lived in their cars and things like that because they may have gone bankrupt 2 or 3 times. Yes, again, it's when women don't understand, and you don't understand it because you're never going to understand this because you can't be a man, but you go out, you try to find a job. They're either going to tell you you're overqualified or it's a race thing, or they'd rather have a woman equal in experiences, but they'd rather be looking at a woman every day than you with your hard head. So, and then you have a woman that's working. Granted, she has her own problems. But she has to deal with those things, because let's say the app did make it after 2 years, they forget all about the pains and the woes. But you have to be able to support your man because he's in a deep, deep, dark place. Because he doesn't want to be there. He wants to be able to handle himself and be able to be a breadwinner or equal to you. Mm-hmm. But society, again, is knocking him down and keeping him down. And then because your emotional upswings happen, once a month, you all feel as though that you're being slighted by him because he forgot the birthday or because he didn't want to attend a party. Now, I'm not justifying his emotions, but what I'm saying is you got to stay with him in that deep, dark place because nothing's forever.
And she did. Mm-hmm. And she did.
Well,
and then while
she
didn't do that. Well, actually she did, because they were in a relationship for 5 years. So she stayed with him and everything, and I don't justify Issa's cheating. She should not have cheated on Lawrence. Matter of fact, when I saw how it was going, and she was going to go into the studio with Daniel, I was yelling at the screen like, Issa, don't do it. You need to leave because,
So why do you think she did it, Tiffany?
Because she's human. She is vulnerable. The situation was, she said she was frustrated with Lawrence. She was even contemplating breaking up with him because that's why in the very first episode, she went to Molly's house. First 2 episodes, she didn't even come home. So she was trying to have that conversation to even break up with him. Then, number 2, she slept with him because it's somebody from her past. It was somebody that she had always had a connection with. It looked like it was timing or whatever. He wasn't ready, whatever the situation was. But it was somebody that she was attracted to, she had history with, and the space that she was in with Lawrence. Because she even said to Molly, she was like, he's not even putting it down like he used to. And I understand what you're saying about when men are in that place, like everything, it affects everything, and it had affected them and stuff. But at the same time, like while we're trying to support you, and I said this to you offline about how women are, we are nurturers, we are givers, and sometimes when we are giving, we need things to be deposited into our bank too. We need to be filled up too, because if we keep giving and we're not getting anything back, we're going to be depleted and we won't have anything else to give, and that leaves us in a bad space, and that will put us in a vulnerable space, so that if somebody comes in and they show interest and they're stroking us, and it feels like, okay, wow, this person is taking an interest in me, when the person I'm involved with forgot my birthday or whatever, or is not even being tender or whatever. Like I'm tired of doing all the stroking and I'm not getting any stroking back. No pun intended. I mean emotional stroking when I say that. Yeah. I mean emotional stroking.
Okay, but you're saying that she was being depleted for his absence in the relationship.
The emotional absence, because depleted in the fact that she was still trying to encourage him, because you can see when he had the interview, when she said he was so worried about the interview and stuff, she was like, okay, I can't have my man going into this interview all tense and stuff. So she was trying to please him sexually and stuff, release some tension to lighten his load.
But that is a trademark with you all, because sometimes you believe that because a man is in that dark space, that all he needs is sex.
No.
And wait a minute. Sex was not what he needed right then. He needed a job or the ability to have the funds to sustain his business, the business that he was trying to get off the ground. When you start,
this was the night before his interview. In that moment, I think he did need the sex because he was like he could hardly sleep. He was so stressed and nervous about the interview the next day. She was like, when she initiated the sex, he was like, "What are you doing?" She was like, "I can't have my man going into this interview all stressed out." So she was trying to relieve that stress for him. So she was trying.
Right.
So
even if it wasn't the sex that he needed, she was at least showing initiative.
She was showing initiative. She was trying to show that she was trying to support the man. Daggone. She does. Okay, she made the mistake with Daniel, but in her heart of hearts, Issa loves Lawrence. Lawrence loves Issa.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong. I'm just simply saying that men are not built that way. We're not built to be in that dark place. And so when we are
Neither are we.
No, I absolutely not. But then again, as I said, you have a communications pipeline that runs deep. In fact, there's no end to it. And so you get your strengths through other things, other people, in other ways. Men rarely have that. And that is something that you cannot overlook. Now, I'm not talking about the brother that wants to sit on the couch, drink beer, while you go work and cook breakfast and dinner and lunch and take care of the kids, little snotty-nosed kids running around. I'm not talking about that kind of thing.
You're talking about the good brother.
I'm talking about a brother that's been knocked down, dragged, beat up, and then he has to deal with you at your level, seeing that you're doing all those things. Because believe it or not, the fact that he sees you doing all that makes him feel even worse.
I know. I know that does.
So his inability to be able to give you the emotional status that you need at that particular time isn't born on the fact that he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to give you that. It's because of all the elements that are around him that's keeping him down. And you got to understand that as ladies, you got to understand when you see it, what it is, and somehow or another, you're going to have to move your emotions to the other side.
For 2 years, she has. And also, and you saying ladies, but take notice that Derek, Tiffany's husband, kept it all the way real with him and told him and said, you need to take ownership for your role in why this. Yes, she cheated, and yes, Issa was wrong for cheating, but there was a reason why she did what she did, and Derek so eloquently pointed that out to Lawrence to make him look in the mirror like it's not all on Issa.
Derek's a bum. And
Derek is not a bum. I mean, Derek is married.
Derek is no.
Derek is not a bum.
He's a bum, and here's the reason why. Okay, here he is beating up on Lawrence again. This is what I'm talking about.
Derek is not beating up on him again. This is the first time he said something to Derek. I think you're getting Derek confused with Chad. Chad was the one that was giving Lawrence all the bad advice.
No, the one that said you got 2 rooms.
That's Chad. You getting it mixed up.
Okay.
Derek is the one that's married to Tiffany. And he met with him and he said it's not all on Issa. And that's what he said.
My bad.
Derek's not a bum.
Right.
Derek's? Yeah, he's a bum too. I'll get to that in a minute.
You just hating.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. It goes right back to what I was saying about your communication line and your emotional line. When you're down and you deep down like that, not one of your sisters are going to bring that stuff out like that to you. They're going to be very committed to you. They're going to tell you how sorry they are. And what they say behind your back, I don't know. But you're not going to hear that thrown back at you like that because they know you're down. And they're going to hear you every single time. A brother, what he's really saying to Lawrence is, hey, get back up. Get back on your feet, man. Dust yourself off and come on, let's play with these girls.
Derek wasn't saying that to him.
I'm not saying Derek was saying that, but what I'm saying is Derek may have done it a different way. He might have had more class with what he said and what he was trying to do. But to say to Jay, well, you were this and that because you were out of a job for 2 years and yada yada yada. Okay, so that helped him, I suppose.
I think he was just trying to get him to be accountable.
Exactly. That's all.
But
that's
to
all.
say that he isn't accountable is where you're making your mistakes. And what I'm simply saying
first of all, he wasn't because he kept referring to Issa cheating and with Daniel, and he was upset that he saw Issa in a picture with Daniel, so he knows that Daniel is still in the picture somehow.
Facebook
and questioning
so
whether.
How is he supposed to feel with that?
No. I would feel some type of way if I saw, my ex hanging out with. No, so I'm not saying he's wrong to feel the way he does, but you know, when he was like, well, Issa cheated, and I need to know whether she, you know, but maybe she was doing this the whole time and all of that and stuff. Derek was just trying to help him be accountable too, because yes, she did cheat, but there was a reason why they got to the point to where they were. Right. I mean, and we said it, like she was already in a place where she was getting ready to break up with him. She went to Molly's house. She wasn't even trying to go home. She went to Rite Aid and was buying panties and stuff. So she wouldn't have to go home. So they were already in a space.
And there were things that led up to her getting to where she was, and not suggesting that it was okay. Again, I think Issa was dead wrong, and I think she should have seen the danger that Daniel presented to her relationship and concealed herself from that. But, you know, Issa thinking that, oh, we just friends, I'm just going to go into the studio and listen to some music, you are being very naive to believe that those emotions can't take you overboard.
Yes. And what was crazy is that Molly even told her, like, what are you doing? What are you? And Molly, who always sabotages her own relationships with men and stuff, she was the reason. But you know, it's funny that last season both of them were telling truths about each other to one another. Like both of them needed to hear what each other was saying. They were right about each other.
Exactly.
You know,
and Molly couldn't handle that. You know, at least on the surface, she couldn't handle it. You know, but. And I can understand that because that's Molly's way. I mean, Molly's
Issa need to be accountable too.
Right, but again, it has to be. And here we have now Lawrence. He's cleaned up. He's looking good. And Issa's all over it. She's dreaming how she gonna knock this woman out.
Well, she feels bad.
She felt bad. She wanted him back, and then he was savage too. Like when he came over there to get his mail, and then when he slept with her, and then he just rolled out.
That was savage.
That was savage. No. And then I woke up the next day, and the Lawrence Hive was trending on Twitter. They were going off. The men were celebrating this foolishness, and I was like, as much as I thought Issa was wrong for cheating on Daniel. That was wrong for how he did. Misleading. That was like he was a petty. Don't call me Issa. He was really petty and savage for doing that to her. Playing with her emotions.
Tell me, Tiffany, that Issa didn't want that moment just as bad.
But she thought that meant that they were getting back together. She was excited about that moment. She hoped, but she hoped that meant, and he did not. He ain't follow up. He gave her.
No, because again, here we go with that line, that conversation. Because he didn't call you when he left or call you the next day to say, hey, everything's everything, doesn't mean that didn't...
Everything wasn't everything. He was hooking up with Tasha.
And she sent Molly to go and probe him to see. And he said no.
Tasha because he was desperately trying to get Issa out of his mind.
Yeah, he was.
Because he was very conflicted about that whole situation. Come on.
Which he was dead wrong again on to defend Tasha. You know, going into her life and trying to act like you're going to be this boyfriend, and then you standing her up in front of her family.
Well, first off, Tasha, this man, if he's coming out of a 5-year relationship and stuff, like, you know, you got to be careful that you're not caught up in that rebound situation.
Isn't that what they tell us to do? Move on. Isn't that what men are told?
I think it's healthy.
Your boy Chad was telling me. What was Chad telling him?
Well, Chad was also telling him he peeped game because he was like, what you're doing is you're basically going over there on the weekends and you're hitting it with the girl a whole weekend and coming home. You're not even taking her out. Yep. So he wasn't courting her at all.
Chad was just saying, hey, that's my boy.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's what y'all do. That's what y'all do. Y'all get the bad advice. and that's why y'all don't have the channels to talk. Like when you said those channels about
who to
talk to. Because the people you're talking to are talking foolishness.
Because
you're not getting good advice.
But that's my point. You're getting me out of this chair. Let me sit back. That's my whole point. My whole point is because you got too many Chads in this world, even the Chads that don't believe that type of that nonsense that he was saying will say it anyway because they think that that's what you need to hear.
But that's why I appreciated Derek's commentary because he came with the real and he was a married man. So he was like, no, you're accountable too. Yeah, Issa was wrong, but you're accountable too for Issa being in that space to even be vulnerable enough to step out with another man.
So let me get this right.
He was not
Jay.
He wasn't taking care of home.
Jay, in a minute, use
your real name.
Lawrence. Lawrence is wrong because he's emotionally broken down. That's what you're saying to me. that he's wrong.
We knew he was emotionally broken down, but at the same time, you still have to go on. Like, she's supposed to just
be present.
Just be present, and you not nurture her and stuff. Like, if you don't water a plant, what's going to happen? It's going to die. Okay. You still have to water and nurture it. And so, yes, he was in a bad space, and she was trying to be there for him. But just like she was trying to be there for him, he also needed to be there for her.
Reciprocate.
It is reciprocate. And a relationship is not one-sided.
You're talking about a relationship with two equal sides. I'm talking about a relationship where one side of that relationship was broken down. Now, those are two entirely different types of conversations. If you want to have one,
and she was rocking with him.
If you want to have
he
one,
was unemployed for 2 years. They were in a relationship for 5.
What does 5 years got? Look, what's 5 years got to do with it?
I'm saying she was there.
You know why
she was
I say
in
that?
it.
Because you can have 4 of those years being quite blissful, and then that last year, all hell breaks loose. The bottom falls out, and then the question becomes: that's when you can determine if this is a real relationship and how strong the relationships are. Relationships aren't built on when everything's going all well and y'all in love and everything's flying and you're making your money and you're doing whatever the hell you want to do. That's not what builds a relationship. Let me tell you what builds a relationship. You want to hear this? Mm-hmm. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Your ears open?
All right.
Okay. Here's what builds a relationship. When you can go through hell and stand up together, side by side, that's when relationships get tight. All this mess about what happens and how, look, everything's beautiful when everything is beautiful. Mm-hmm. But if you can come through hell and still smelling like a rose, no matter who is in hell, no matter whether it's both of you, one of you, when you can come through that, that's when you got something.
Well, we see that with Molly's parents, and that's what Molly needs to understand, that no relationship is perfect. Right. Like, yeah, you see her parents. Her parents are going through a marriage renewal and stuff, and yes, her father had cheated, but they got through it.
Right. And they got through it, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. You have to understand. Look, marriage wasn't. Who said marriage was blissful? I'll tell you, a piece of paper that you sign with ink. And you think that just because you signed that piece of paper and the ink dried, that everything's supposed to be hunky-dory?
Right. Well, to your point, though, about being able to get through hell and still come out strong, that's a real relationship. Who's to say that this is the end for Lawrence and Issa?
No, I really think
very well come through this.
I really think they're going to
do.
I think they're going to end up finding their way back to each other.
And basically, they both they not only need each other, they're right for one another. Mm-hmm. They have a balance, a chemistry that Lawrence couldn't find in Tasha, and poor Issa isn't going to find just looking for an average.
Well, I don't think that Tasha was a bad girl. She would be good for someone. I
didn't say that. I'm not saying that.
No, I know you're not, but I just think that when he
went to the picnic,
he wasn't ready for her.
Right.
Well, look. If he were single for 2 years, Tasha ain't his thing. When he went to the picnic and Tasha and her family, because I know some folk like that. Okay, back in the day.
What you trying to say about Tasha and her family? Trying to say they ghetto fabulous? Is that what you're saying?
and you can leave out fabulous. They just ghetto. And you know what? Right. Hey, don't get me wrong. I used to run with him. I know that type.
That type.
The type in the sense that I know the family. I used to. Don't want to get personal, but what I'm saying is, I've been there. I know that type of relationship, that type of situation. And you have to either be a chameleon or get out of it fast, because of the fact that you're not going to last if you try to front.
Got the element.
Mm-hmm. You're either going to be in that element and know.
You can tell he was out of his element at that cookout.
That's why he was out.
Exactly. Yeah. And he wasn't trying to front. He had to go. So, in my opinion, he did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yeah. With more tact would have been nice, but yeah.
There is no tact with that. You got to float. You got to go. Get ghost.
I don't know about all that. I wouldn't have appreciated being told that you were going to a work function. He was at a work function. He did.
He just didn't come back.
That's what I'm saying. Don't tell me you coming back and you're not coming, or at least call and let me know things have changed. Don't wait until the last hour.
He was not expecting, I don't know who it was, her cousin. Or whatever. Hey man, come pick up that speaker and do X, Y, Z.
Well, truth be told, Tasha should have never invited him to that family function in the first place, because it was too brand new of a relationship.
That's what I
was in your family.
But Tasha, but understand now, Tasha was digging Lawrence, and she wanted Lawrence.
She was moving too fast.
That's what I said. Her expectations of a man who just came out of a long-term relationship and stuff, and he just told you that when he went over there to get his mail, he slipped and slept with his ex girl. So that let me know that there's still some unresolved feelings there.
Okay.
I can understand trust.
He was because he really is a good guy.
Okay,
he really is a good guy. So he told her,
just be good and say, sweetie, this is not going to work for us.
Well, Lawrence is not the typical guy because I can't see most men admitting to that.
Right.
Well,
but he was trying to be straightforward to her.
But what I'm saying is, in my telling you that, am I supposed to believe that this is helping you? When I can just simply, obviously that I slept with my ex means that I don't have much with you. That's obvious.
Well, I think he was just trying to set expectations and let you, I'm still struggling with my breakup. I'm not
Then
trying
say that.
He should have probably said that.
Right,
But Lawrence is such a good guy that he let his guilt cloud out his judgment where he's like, I got to tell her what I did.
Because now because what you've done now is, now she looks at him as like any other old piece of trash, when she made that phone call.
But she set herself,
yeah, because I'm like, he just came out of a relationship. You knew when you first started talking to him, when you were dropping by Best Buy and everything, that he had a girl. He lived with his girl. And you knew that he was in flux when he was talking to you. Like, he was looking for a place. He was staying with his friend. Like,
y'all got this thing locked down.
Yeah, so how you expecting him, like, all of a sudden you think he's supposed to be ready to just jump into a relationship with you and ride off in the sunset after coming out of 5 years?
Don't y'all think that?
No.
Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
I can only speak for myself.
Okay, I'm not talking about you two, but I know for a fact that you hear that almost every single time. It happens just like that.
But I'm like,
you know it too.
Well, sometimes you have to wonder, like, if he's just coming out of a relationship, like, how ready are you to start a new one? Because for what? Like, she already bringing him around the family, and when he got there, you see, all the family knew who he was. She had talked about him to the family. Exactly. So I was,
But I can't. Here I am taking Tasha up on. I don't blame Tasha for doing that. She thought she had what she wanted.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying that she is a bad person.
I didn't say that. I just
anything
said
like that. She thought she had,
she
but I don't know how she could have thought that they were at that point based on the information she had.
It's not at that point. It was getting to a point, and that was part of
that
the
he
things,
was spending.
That was part of what she needed.
They were boning. They were boning on the weekends.
Boning. I mean,
yes,
they were.
That's what I'm saying. On the weekends, he wasn't taking her out. He only started taking her out because Chad said something.
Tiffany.
And then he started. Started taking her out.
Tiffany. Tasha was a TV head. That's all she wanted to do was watch TV and bone. So she was happy in that little.
But he didn't even ask. She was happy to go.
He didn't have to ask because Tasha, all she wanted to do was watch TV.
No, they went to the Japanese restaurant. They went. They went out to eat.
One time.
Because Chad suggested it. It was not his idea. He didn't even try.
Tasha. You didn't hear Tasha. Now look, if you were in that situation, you'd be like, I ain't trying to lay up in my bed all day long watching TV. We're gonna do something, right? Right. Did Tasha do that?
No.
Oh,
well, at least
Tasha's a different kind of chick too.
Real different.
You gotta understand what her, like you said, her family. You see where she comes from.
Exactly.
She's really not expecting too much.
Right. She's a cut above what Lawrence ran into at the picnic because she's got a nice job and she's doing pretty well for herself in that respect. But take her back to home plate. That's what you got.
Well, I guess it is what it is with that situation. I don't see Lawrence and Tasha lasting too much longer, really. I think
it's done. But she already called him an F-boy, so
Yeah,
it's done. And rightfully so. It should be.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I think Lawrence and Issa should find their way back to each other. But it's going to be interesting to see how the show goes from there because so much of this season is based around the controversy of their split.
But the thing is, it's interesting you're saying that about Lawrence and Issa because there's some Team Daniels out there. Because now that she got her rotation going and stuff, and she's gotten back.
Say her
rotation? That's what she said.
I like that.
She said the rotation.
See, that should be what I said.
She said she has her rotation. She has apartment bay. She has the new Italian bay, and then she has Daniel bay. Yep. So Daniel, though, they have the chemistry. She's been hanging out with Daniel, And Daniel has feelings for her.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
He came to pick her up at the accident. He wants more from her, even though she said to her, "We're just cool, right? We're just cool."
Yep.
I was like, if Lawrence ain't trying to step up and get back together, I wouldn't be mad at her for pursuing something with
But you see where
that.
this is going, right? You see where this is going.
What you mean?
You have Issa, who is probably not as much into Daniel as Daniel is into her.
Right.
And if Lawrence come back, she'll drop him like a bad habit.
Yeah.
And then you got another man out there that's broken down because Issa is making the wrong decisions at the right time.
Well, that's why she's trying to tell him now that we're cool,
You know
we're
that don't
friends,
mean
and this, that, and
nothing.
the other.
So
I know, but I'm just saying.
Those words mean
But
nothing.
maybe she should see what's up with Daniel.
Yeah, and I think
because he seemed like he's a decent dude.
Are you
that
telling
he
me
really
this
feeling
on
her.
T-
I am
on
because
YouTube?
Lawrence
Are you
said he
kidding
was
me?
done.
You
I
just said
wanted
earlier-
Issa with Lawrence. Lawrence is a good dude, but when she tried to make up with Lawrence, he said he was done.
But
Right.
you know he's
So
not.
if
Well, I mean,
she doesn't know that he's
Yes,
not.
she does.
She does not know that he's done.
That brother would not have looked.
She didn't
Let
heard
me tell you
from
something.
she didn't heard from her
me
friend
tell
that
you
he was
something.
hooking up
If
with
that-
Tasha.
if he was done-
She was doing her own stalking for Tasha. Stalking her social media, and then she found out. She runs into Daniel. She hanging out with Daniel and different people, but she and Daniel already got a sexual chemistry. They know each other they grew up together, so he's not a stranger and everything. He is really digging her. So
She's
if
not digging him
Lawrence,
like that though.
but I'm saying
Well,
if Lawrence doesn't come around, I say give Daniel a shot.
to play the middle here, though, I see both sides of the argument. I feel like I'm always playing the middle.
Right.
That's why you're in the
That's
middle.
why you're in the middle. Yeah.
Because I really do see both sides. Because honestly, like, Lawrence and Issa aside, in any relationship, when it's a brand new situation and you're going through a possible split and you don't know whether you're going to get back together or not, I really think that both parties should hold off on exploring the options until you are 100% sure that there's no reconciliation in the books.
I agree with that too.
Because all you're going to do is bring more people into a confusing situation, and then your feelings are going to get tangled up and you don't know which side you want to be on. And so it's always going to be a fight between, do I want this guy or that guy, this girl, that girl. So for the sake of, getting full closure, you need to make sure that everything is said and done, that there's no chance. And then you go out and pursue your options.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I agree with that. I think it's healthy to even take some time to be by yourself.
Oh,
I know that's what I try to do after a breakup.
That's right. You
Instead
gotta.
of jumping right back into something, I
Exactly.
take some
And
time
that's
for
the
me.
thing.
And that and they're both wrong for that. And that's if I've ever have agreed with you, I'm agreeing with you now. Let this be on record that I agree.
He agreed with me
you.
last week too.
Okay,
So
I ain't counting that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I agree with you now, and that's exactly what needs to happen with the two of them. You need to heal,
yeah,
Exactly.
and that means leave the men alone, leave the women alone, and heal. Because if you don't, you'll catch anything.
Yeah, that, and when you're going from relationship just hopping around, you never know whether you were there for the right reasons to begin with. Am I just here because you were my rebound and you were convenient, or do I truly have these feelings for you?
right.
Well, look, we're out of time.
Yeah, so this was a good discussion. I'm
Yeah.
so glad we finally got to talk about this show.
I know, me too.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
So maybe we can periodically come back again, maybe at the end of season 2 of Insecure, and discuss again
I think we should.
about the last five episodes.
Yes,
I like that.
I like that idea too.
Yeah, so you guys make sure you stick with us. We'll continue to do our power recaps, but just hang tight, and periodically we'll drop some other recaps for shows like Insecure. And even if you have suggestions for other shows that you would like us to do, maybe a recap of the season or the season thus far, just drop your comments and let us know what you would like to hear, because we do this for you. We love to talk about these shows, but you're the viewers.
And any real talk issues that you might want to share with us. Maybe personal, maybe not. We don't want to get into your personal lives, but I mean, this is real talk. So if you got some points that you might want to bring up, maybe to extend the conversation we had today, or you might have something else on your mind, please let us know. And always, subscribe. I can't push that enough. Please subscribe.
Yeah.
And those of you who have already submitted topics for future discussions, we appreciate it, and we are considering them.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We are at The Spot Real Talk. So be sure to stick with us and make sure you, like Ron said, subscribe so you can be notified when we post new videos. And until next time, we'll see you. Make sure you tune in for our Power season finale recap, because that's going to be pretty
Can't wait.
off the chain. So tune in for that next week. And until Insecure season ends, we'll see you when that's over, I guess.
Yep.
Everyone have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.